This is Arnhem Nicholson. I live in San Martin, California, and this video is all about my compost bin and sifting my compost and making compost. But anyway, looking at the picture here, this is the compost bins, which are 10 foot by 10 foot by 6 foot high. They're made out of ferrous cement, which I used to build my water tanks out of it, and I took the same concept and just built these 10 foot by 10 foot by 6 foot high bins to put my compost in. We're going to show you step by step how the process works and hope you might enjoy it. In the opening there, there's two metal slots there where I can put boards in as the compost gets filled. I would put it up there to get to the top. Here you can see the front of the boxes. The one on the right is just starting to get filled up. The one on the left has the boards all in. It's completely full, and it takes about a year for it to completely decompose. I do not turn it. I just layer the leaves and grass and weeds and things in there and the horse manure and water it and let it sit for a year. Okay, this is looking inside the compost. This is starting to take the compost out, but you can see the walls. So now I've got it down about 2 feet. Okay, now you can see the front view. When I made the bins, I put these channels in there where the boards can just slip in and out as the bin starts to fill up. And then as it starts to empty out, we can take the boards out one by one. So just showing you another aspect of the compost bin. Now, before I made my automatic sifter, this device here is what I used to take all the 10 foot by 10 foot by 6 foot, shovel by shovel, put it in here and sift all the compost by hand. All right, now we're starting to look at my sifter that I built. We're going to go through different stages, so hopefully you can see the complete operation and functionality of it. This is in the upright position, and you'll see when I put it up close to the bin that I put it in this position and shovel about 18 scoop shovels full of compost into that, and then it's ready to let it down into a position to where it's locked in and we're ready to start sift the compost. This is a side view of it, showing it before the frame and the flywheel, the motor that turns the cylinder, and locking device where the compost doesn't fall out while it's being sifted. The motor that you see here was off of a little cement mixer. I took it all apart, took the motor off, which works very well on turning the compost sifter just like it was if you were making concrete. And then you can see the frame I've got there, so that when the compost is all sifted and we retract the end that holds the compost in, then I can swivel that. It's on all the way over and dump the debris out of inside there. Now then you can see it's operational, that you can see the good compost is sifted out the bottom and the debris is still inside getting ready to dump out. The way the cylinder works, in order to get it on the upright position and dump it all the way over to the other side, is the flywheel there. And I took a flywheel off of a car and we mounted on the shaft there, and then there's a car starter that's a small little sprocket, and then the handle there is attached to that small sprocket. So that when we retract the end of the compost that holds the compost in, then we take the handle there and we can turn that, and it'll turn the whole barrel and everything all over 180 degrees and be able to dump all the trash and stuff out. Okay, now you get a good look at the compost sifter while it's in the shop before it's put together. We took it off. It's designed so you can take this barrel off and work on it and repair it or modify it at any time it's needed. Just another look at the barrel that's inside the shop. One, you can see the straps that go around it. I got a strapping machine from the rental place, and to hold the wire and everything tied together, I used a strapping machine to put the straps around there, which holds the main rods I got to run outside and the wire in place. Here again, it's a good look at the flywheel we took off of a car that we got out of a wrecking yard and mounted on the shaft that we'll use to be able to turn the barrel 180 degrees. Now that I found over at Home Depot this little electric rototiller called the Sunjo. It works absolutely excellent in just rototilling up about 6 to 8 inches of compost and then gets it fine enough to be able to go into the compost sifter. Because I do not turn, once I put the compost in the bin, I just layer it in there and I don't turn it. But then we get ready to put it in a compost sifter, then we take the rototiller and we rototill it up and gets it in a nice fine condition to be able to put it in the sifter. Now you can see here, these are the leaves off of the yard. I've got several big trees and this is a fall, and so all the leaves have fallen down, so I have a big layer of leaves there. And then the neighbor next door has put his horse manure over there. Okay, now this is a video we did just showing me spreading the horse manure around on the leaves, and it doesn't need to be a whole lot, but probably 2 or 3 inches thick of horse manure on top of the leaves, and you can put more if you want. And as it sits there, it takes about a year for it to completely decompose. You get ready to start rototilling up and put it in the compost sifter. So I used to have to go over a neighbor a couple of miles away and get horse manure and haul it home in my pickup and put in here, and then the neighbor next door got horses there, so I no longer had to go over and haul horse manure home, put in here, and now my neighbor does very nice. He just throws it over the fence. Here is showing just the leaves and compost, putting in the compost bin, getting ready. And we put the leaves and the grass and all the trimmings off of the property into there and spread them out, and then put the horse manure, before we put the horse manure on there, after we get the leaves and everything in there, and then we'll show you in a minute putting the water, because you need to have, when you're doing composting, it needs to have the right combination of manure, materials such as leaves or straw, whatever you might have to put in there, and then it needs enough moisture. So the leaves in the fall are all nice and dry and that there's no moisture in them, so putting them in there, it needs to have a little bit of water to get the right combination of moisture, and then along with the manure, right combination makes very good compost. And it's the same principle as when I was on the farm in Salinas, and we used to make silage. And the silage, we'd grind up the corn or the chopper and put it in the bin, and it had enough green that you didn't need to put water, and then we'd take a tractor and run over and pack it down. And so I don't have to pack this down. All I do is spread the leaves and things around, put the water to it, horse manure, and it decomposes just fine over the year. If I don't get the right amount of water in there, sometimes when I go to take it out, the leaves will not have decomposed. It still has a lot of rocks and stuff from when we're gathering up the leaves and things in the yard, so and there's sticks and stuff in there that haven't decomposed. So this is getting ready to go into the compost sifter now. Okay, here I go. The compost bin is full. Now I'm taking my Sunjo rototiller and rototilling it up, and it works an excellent job in just getting this stuff and just right to go into the compost sifter. Okay, now then I've filled up the compost sifter, locked the end in, and turned it's electric, and turned it on, and now it's sifting out the good compost below the drum. And when it gets through, then I can retract the end of the drum and then turn that 180 degrees over and dump all the rocks and sticks that haven't broken down in the compost. You can see here that compost is getting full, and then once it gets full underneath there, we take and load it in a wheelbarrow and put it in a bins that I have, or load it in a pickup and haul off to neighbors that can use the compost. But this is the sifter in operation, which saves me a lot of time because I used to do all this by hand. And the gentleman in the compost bin, he's just spreading some of the horse manure and stuff around there while the sifter is sifting. Now then you can see the compost bin, I've turned it all the way over, and the rocks and everything are inside there, and then I'll turn it on, and that'll dump all the debris and everything out into a pile. And now you can see this is what has come out after the good soil compost has all been sifted out. This was left out of one of the drum full of about 18 scoop shovels full in the compost sifter. This is the rocks and debris, and later on we'll show you how I taken the debris here and clean the debris out to get just the rocks where we can put back in our rock garden and the paths in the yard. Now the debris that you saw, what I do is I bring it over and I put it in this wheelbarrow, and I fill the wheelbarrow full of water, and all the sticks and the light stuff all floats to the top, and then I take a little skimmer and skim that all off to where I get down to just the dirt and the rocks, and then I do that 4 or 5 times to where it gets just nice clean rocks. Now when I get most of the sticks and things that float to the top, then what I do is I'll dump the water off into this strainer, so if any rocks go in there, I can collect them. But then I dump the water, which goes to water the trees here, so I don't waste the water. Using the water to clean the rocks, and then we use the water to water the trees, so we're not wasting the water. Now you're looking at the finished product after washing it several times and getting all the sticks off. These are the rocks and stuff we have left over. As we raked up and put the stuff in the compost, these are the rocks and things, and now we'll go put this in a pile where I can put it back into the different parts of the yard where we need rocks and gravel. So it's a complete cycle. Now you're looking at the finished product. This is just showing you what the consistency of it is after it's been through the sifter, and it's a very rich compost. So if you use it straight in the plants that you need to really put quite a bit of water with them, and the plants do excellent with them, but it just needs a lot of water to go with them. So this is the finished product. Okay, now this is one of the bins that I've made that's filled with the compost, so that I fill it up, and whenever I need compost for the flower beds or my vegetable bed, then I take it out as needed and put it in there. But you can see here that the consistency of it, and I have several of these bins made to put it in, and then I usually have more that I can use, so then I load up my pickup and have different friends around where we haul it off so that they can use it in their yard. So this is how I do my composting in San Martin, and there are many people that do composting around the world and have different ways to do it, but this is the way I do it. Thank you for watching the video. Hope that you have enjoyed it and learned something from it.